Hello, and welcome back to What is Syris reading this week? This is week, I don't remember, 16, 17, 17, 18? Sure, let's go with that. It's got 17 in it, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, first up, we got Miles Morales, Bring on the Bad Guys. So, this is volume 2. So, I mean, if you haven't read the first volume, you don't really need to. All you need to know from that first volume is there was this guy that was kidnapping kids, using mind control to use them as a slave. And that was about it. That's all you really need to know. As you can see, there's this new imposing villain who is the villain up until issue 21. And that's Ultimate Green Goblin. Well, how did he come back? Didn't the Ultimate Universe get destroyed? Looks like you'll have to read this to figure that out. Also, this has one of the villains that's really important to Miles' story right now. So if you want to not really read much of Miles but catch up on his current thing, read this and then read the new ones, because the Assessor is kind of a really big villain for Miles for what he did to him and stuff. So all in all, this book includes Free Comic Book Day, Spider-Man and Miles 2019. You could still find that in some places, other places you can't. So if you can't, you may as well just pick this up to get it. All in all, I give this book a solid 7 out of 10. It was a good book. Alright, next up we got Loki, Mistress of Mischief. So this was when Loki was female, obviously, when he came back in Sif's body. This book is long, it doesn't look long, but it takes forever to read because some of the pages are just so wordy. Like this page, look at that, look how many, it's so wordy. And also the story just wasn't very gripping. It felt, especially since it's not like a full storyline, it's like Thor 5, 9 through 10, 12, 600, 601, 602, and then material from Dark Reign the Cabal. It's like, why not just have a solid storyline and put that there? So, all in all, if you like female Loki, it might be worth it to read. All in all, this book kind of just wasn't that great, which is really saddening because it was by, who's it by? Oh, it's by Straczynski? Oh, he wrote some decent Spider-Man at some points. All in all, I give it a solid 5 out of 10, maybe pick it up, but really, not really, it's just not that great. Next up, we got Groot, the solo series. So this follows Groot in his first ever solo series. I didn't really go in expecting much. I mean, it's Groot as a solo series. What can you really expect? This really worked well. So the main point is Rocket is kidnapped. Groot wants to go on a vacation with Rocket, but then he gets kidnapped. So Groot has to get Rocket and go on the vacation. And he meets Silver Surfer. He meets people you wouldn't think, and it's so fun. And it's a good story. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It's just like a little story. So all in all, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Yeah. Groot works well as a solo character. Alright, next up we got Modoc, Head Games. So this was released about the same time the Modoc TV show was being released on Hulu. It's from Patton Oswalt and Jordan Blum. So, kind of dives into what the show's about, but it's not really that great. As I was reading it, it just felt bland more than anything, because the main plot is Modoc keeps having flashbacks of his family, which may or may not even be real, but then he's also having these flash forwards where he's not the leader of Hive anymore, or AIM, and it's really weird. And all in all, I didn't really like this book, so yeah. And after those, there's two short stories, and they just take so long. Rain Daily, this story was just it was just boring. So all in all, I give this whole book 6 out of 10, not the best. Alright, next up we got Superman, Hopes and Dreams. So, this one contains 3 stories. The first one being Superman, Lois, and John going on a road trip and exploring all of America for Independence Day, the 4th of July. Then, the second story is kids are going missing in Metropolis, but there seems to be a yellow lantern involved. What's a yellow lantern have to do with Metropolis? See, and the last one is Deathstroke. Is it Deathstroke? Yeah. Deathstroke is hunting Lois Lane. Why? Find out. As I've said, the Superman Rebirth run is so good, and I 100% recommend this one along with the rest. So this gets a solid 9 out of 10, because you wouldn't really understand it if you didn't read the rest. Alright, next up, we got Titans, Volume 1, The Return of Wally West. So, it means the return of Wally West because Wally West was locked in the Speed Force or the Time Stream or whatever, and he was forgotten, but now he's not. And so this is him coming back and being with the Titans, who at the current moment are Nightwing, Donna Troy, Tempest, Arsenal, Lilith, and then obviously Wally West. So he comes back, they've forgotten him, so they fight, they remember him. Well, then they get this guy named like Abracadabra, and he's supposedly like the person that threw Wally in the time stream. And it just, I don't remember that ever being like a big plot point, so I don't know why that was a thing. It was weird. But they made him like this huge villain, like really big. So that was weird, but the rest of the book was pretty good. I gave it a solid like, I don't know, 8, 9 out of 10? Yeah, it's a good 9 out of 10. Speaking of Titans, Titans Volume 2, Made in Manhattan. So this one starts off with Wally and Superman racing and talking because, you know, Superman knows what Wally's going through, being in a place that you don't really belong and blah, blah, blah. The second story is, so Wally and there's an old team member, I don't remember who he is exactly, but he quit the Teen Titans and he's married to this woman named, what's her name? I don't remember her name, but she's Bumblebee, that's all you need to know. So, she's like married to this guy and she's developing powers, but he gave up his powers to this place called Meta Solutions, which is turns out run by Hive, but they've said they've reformed. So I mean, like, they're supervillains, what do you expect? So Bumblebee gets really messed up in this book, not like physically, but like mentally, and it's really saddening for her. And then the final story is the key locks Aqualad, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Donna Troy, Wally West, The Flash, Batman, and Nightwing in a room. They're in like this big room. They have to solve like puzzles and stuff. And Donna Troy's real backstory is revealed, setting her up for future stories. So that was a little, you know, lackluster in all fairness. So all in all, this one gets a solid 5 out of 10, not really the best. Kind of bland. All right, last up for Titans is Titans Volume 3, A Judas Among Us. So the reference to A Judas Among Us is an old Teen Titans story called The Judas Contract, where Terra betrayed them and worked with Deathstroke. So Titans are trying to get back Bumblebee's memories after they were lost in the end of the last story. So they're going tracking down Hive, but someone's been selling them out to Hive. So the Hive knows what they're always doing, because they're not reformed, who would have guessed? But then like the main leader's in jail, and he keeps telling Lilith, there's a disaster coming, one of you is going to betray the rest. So the person that betrays them is kind of out of the blue, but kind of not if you really think about it. So that person is a sort of shock twist, and then it dolls in like a bunch of their villains and they all fight. It's a pretty good story. I recommend it. I give it a solid like 8 out of 10. So read the first and the third one, skip the second one. You don't really need to know much about it. Maybe read the second one just to fill you in. Also, if you do pick this one up from Midpoint Library, be aware that there is a page that fell out. So it's just stuck in at the moment, not really held in. So just be careful of that. All right, next up, we got Wonder Woman, The Lies. So this one deals with Wonder Woman not being able to return the Themyscira. So she teams back up with Cheetah, and they fight like Cheetah's god, and it's a really cool story. And Steve Trevor's back, so that happens. It's a really good story all around. I didn't think I'd really enjoy Wonder Woman, but as I read this one, I quite enjoyed it a lot, actually. So all in all, this one gets a solid 8 out of 10. Pick this up if you see it. It's a good introduction to Wonder Woman if you don't know about her. All right. Next up, we got Wonder Woman, Year One. So there's a part where DC was doing this whole Year One initiative where it like retells the backstory of heroes, but with like a twist kind of thing. It's weird. So this tells the story of Wonder Woman and how Steve Trevor washed up on the shore and how she left Themyscira and how when she returned to like the normal world, she didn't really speak their language, but then learned and became Wonder Woman by defending people. It's weird. I mean, all in all, this one kind of feels lackluster. So, I mean, like, you don't really need to read this to understand Wonder Woman. Like, you could just read that one and get the information. So this one's, like, not really necessary, like a solid 4 out of 10, maybe. I mean, it's a good story, don't get me wrong, but it's not necessary at all. All right, next up we got The Flash, Volume 2, The Speed of Darkness. So this one deals with Wally West, the New 52 one, and he's like skipping school, skipping lunch, he's just like putting everything away to go be Kid Flash at the moment. So Flash says, hey, no more. You're done for being Kid Flash for a moment. So Wally West is mad, throws a little baby temper tantrum. That's something you should expect from this Wally West, is he throws a lot of temper tantrums, like a lot. So he runs away, and there's like this report of the Shadow Man in Central City. Is that what it's called? Strange Creature. Yeah, Central City. So he's investigating the Shadow Man. It's the Shade turned evil. Why though? You'll see. So he gets like dragged into this world, and then Flash has to go save him. And Wally's still mad at the Flash, but you know, he just needs to get over himself. So all in all, this story was really good actually, because the Shades part of it was really great. Wally West throwing a temper tantrum I couldn't care for, but the Shade I really enjoyed. So I give that, because that's the whole story, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Pick it up if you see it. Speaking of The Flash, we got The Flash, Volume 8, The Flash War. So this deals with The Flash and Wally West, because Wally West still, you know, wants his wife back, wants his kids, but he can't have them. So it starts with this like person in the future telling these like what looks like the Rogues to go back and arrest Iris West for killing Professor Zoom in an earlier Flash volume. So they have to go like arrest Iris. And the masked person starts messing with Wally, and once you understand who it is, it makes sense. But if you don't, I'm not gonna spoil it. So eventually it's Flash versus Wally, and it's just like a big old battle. It leads directly into Heroes in Crisis. So, you know, if you read that story, you kind of know what goes on a little. But, so it's a pretty good story. I recommend it. I give it a solid, like, 8 out of 10. I really like what they did with Wally here. Next up, we got The Flash, Volume 9, Reckoning of the Forces. So if you read that last volume, minor spoilers for it, you know that at the end, the Force Barrier was taken down and the Sage and the Strength Force are now in the main universe. So this reckons with two of Flash's villains, Trickster getting the Strength Force, and shoot, what's his name? I forgot. I'm sorry. His name is the Fire Guy, Flash's fire villain. McRoy, what was his name? Heatwave, that's what it was. It deals with Heatwave getting the strength or the Sage Force. So Strength Force obviously buffs them up, makes them super strong. The Sage Force, it gives them like psychic powers maybe, but also like magic things. It's not really explained that well. The Strength Force, I get. Sage Force, they could probably use a little bit more explaining on that. So it deals with what happens with all of that, and Flash trying to deal with the forces to not make them break out into the world, but also to not like kill people by accident, because the forces being ripped out could kill them. And then you got the Captain Cold from the last one who's stuck in present time. He's called Commander Cold, and he's helping the Flash. So it was a weird story, man, but it was really good. So all in all, I give this one a solid 9 out of 10. It's pretty good. Next up, we got The Flash, Volume 11. What's this? The Greatest Trick of All. So this one starts with an annual. And the annual, it deals with the Flash having to tell Iris and everyone else that Wally West is dead from the Heroes in Crisis. And also, since the Flash War, Impulse has been running around, just doing stuff, not really interacting with the Flash, so Impulse is also there, but not really. And then Godspeed comes, and he's trying to, he's getting a read of the speedsters for, this guy, I think it's the Anti-Monitor, but I'm not 100% sure. Hold on, let me see if I can find the picture for him. Yeah, it's like this big guy. Don't know who he is. I'm guessing it's the Anti-Monitor because when he was revealed in Volume 8, it had Class Omega and it showed the Anti-Monitor logo. So I think it's him. So then and the rest of the story is the Trickster. Flash left Central City for a little bit. I didn't get to read that because I couldn't find Volume 10, So when he comes back, everyone's happy, unnaturally happy, and it's weird. And he goes to Iron Heights to ask about Commander Cold, and the main guy of Iron Heights is really happy, never smiled before, Director Wolf. It's just super unnatural and weird. So Flash is going around trying to figure out what's going on. And you learn about the Trickster's backstory. The original Trickster, Jesse James, that was his name, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, James Jesse. So and you learn his backstory, you learn what he's doing, why he's doing it, how he's doing it. And all in all, this is a really great story. It's really short too. It's only 66, 67, 68, 4 issues plus the annual, so 5. So all in all, this is a really great story. The whole Flash Rebirth run, this is part of the Rebirth, it just doesn't say it anymore. You usually tell which are after the Rebirth because of this spine where it's black, says the name, then has the logo, and then black again. You can tell which ones are still part of the Rebirth run. So this was a great one. The whole Flash Rebirth is really great. So all in all, I give this one a solid 9 out of 10. The Flash Rebirth, a 10 out of 10. So that's all for these 2 weeks. I hope you enjoyed. I'll probably see you in 2 more weeks. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.